Welcome back. The presidential campaign is in full swing, from rallies to diners to ad buys to the 21st century battleground, social media. Kamala has been making a cringeworthy attempt at the youth vote by going all in on Brat Summer after pop star Charlie XCX dubbed Kamala Brat, or the latest slang for cool, after the title of her newest album. Kamala's fans are also calling themselves coconut pilled after Kamala's viral speech.
I don't know what's wrong with you young people. You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
President Trump is countering this by sitting down with influencers from TikTok to YouTube.
I'll tell you about TikTok. Trump is going to keep TikTok going, whereas Biden and Harris have no idea what it means.
As well as his signature posts on Truth Social, Facebook, and utilizing Elon Musk's X, formerly known as Twitter. So which candidate is winning the battle of social media? It's a great question right now. Joining us is Stephen Rowe, Director of Digital Training at Leadership Institute. Stephen, of all people, I think you're the best person to sit down and give us a cold, hard analysis. Who's doing a good job and who's doing a bad job?
Thank you so much for having me. Fantastic show, Chanel. And yes, let's give them grades. And when it comes to the Harris campaign, you got to give them a C. And the C is for coconut tree, because the Harris campaign is using a well-paid influencer strategy to ignite their base. They're using creators, like you pointed out, Harry Sisson, Charlie XCX, and many other young creators to prop up the Harris campaign on popular social media platforms. But it's a C because there's no candidate. You're seeing many other influencers really advocate for her, but very few pictures, videos, or anything of Kamala Harris. Now, when you look on the opposite side of things, when you start to take a look at the Trump campaign, and I've never done this before for any Republican candidate, but you got to give him an A. It's an A because he's going places that no other Republican candidate has gone before. As you said, YouTube, live streams and podcast, Full Send with the Nelk Boys, Impulsive with Logan Paul, the All In podcast, even golfing with Bryson DeChambeau, and then live streaming with Aiden Ross or Elon Musk last night. You see him going into the trenches of social media. When people watch these interviews, they're saying, hey, I really like that. Trump is really funny. This is extremely relatable and authentic. And you got to give the Trump campaign an A for authenticity when it comes to their online presence.
Now, Stephen, I know you've been studying this for quite some time, and I want your take on how the media and social media and influencer landscape has changed since 2016. I know that's a big window, especially for technology, but 2016 was the rise of Trump. He really harnessed Twitter, then known as Twitter, and really made a name for himself there. How has the social media landscape changed for candidates today?
Yes, the platform formerly known as Twitter, X, where Trump has an incredibly sizable online presence, but it has changed. Things have changed. There's a new platform since 2016 called Truth Social, which has been truly extraordinary for the Trump campaign because they are unfiltered and able to reach their audience at a direct level, which is unprecedented because in 2016, you kind of had the censors of the world. It was Mark Zuckerberg's Facebook or, whoever was owning Twitter at the time to now having your own platform where you can be a lot more in control of your voice and your message. But video rules the day. Authenticity rules the day. Influencers are still incredibly important, which is why you see the Harris campaign leverage them to the extent they have. But you have to remember they're paid. And being paid takes away from that authenticity in a really big way. But the rise of short-form video is clearly apparent, the rise of live streaming, and you see the Trump campaign walk into that and embrace this new technology to reach voters in a new and authentic way, which I think is working extremely well for them.
How about spokespeople that both sides are using? I know that Kamala's using celebrities and big names, and Trump is really just using himself. This raises a lot of questions about which audience are each campaign really targeting. The EU yesterday and this morning, they were very concerned about X and Trump's interview. Why does X get the most scrutiny worldwide over China-owned TikTok? It seems to me there's more attacks on X from the international community than there are any attacks on the Chinese TikTok?
Yeah, that is a great question that you're asking. And it's important that the viewers know that TikTok is owned by ByteDance, which is a company that's controlled by the Chinese Communist Party. And in contrast, there is a freedom lover called Elon Musk who purchased Twitter, now renamed it to X, and is getting much more scrutiny because of it. And the reason for this, I think, is pretty simple. It's because he's letting people say whatever they want to say. And he is a free speech forward individual. And on the platform of X, that's what you're seeing these days. I mean, gone are the days of X or Twitter banning people for sharing conservative thoughts, shadow banning in some circumstances. These days, activists can voice their opinions with a lot more certainty and a lot more ability to reach the masses. So X has an incredibly large reach and plays an outsized role in politics, government, and the news media. Maybe that's why he's being attacked, but I think he's being attacked because he's successful. And people are waking up and using platforms like X like they've never done before. And that pulls away from the power of government. That pulls away from the power of the mainstream media in some circumstances. And that is quite scary for them when they can't control what people have to say. And thankfully, we have platforms like X where we are able to say exactly what we're thinking.
Stephen, I want your feedback on this, and this is just something that I've noticed just as a user of X, as a user of, I'm not on TikTok, I should be, I guess. Everyone else is on there. I've kind of dabbled in it, I've looked at it, but, you know, as a consumer of social media, I've noticed something, and I want your take on this. I've noticed that when it comes to the social media strategy of memes and videos that are made from memes, there is such an organic creation on the side of Trump. People who are, you know, pro-Trump or anti-Democrat, there's some really talented civilians who are out there. They're not paid by anyone. They're out there just organically creating memes and videos. Whereas on the Kamala side, I don't see the same level of talent coming on the meme side or the videos. You see a lot of influencers getting paid to post memes, so it's almost like it's generated top down from the Kamala campaign, and through the Trump campaign it's generated from the ground up. Is that consistent with what you're noticing, or is that just me and my tailored algorithms? Am I completely off?
No, I think you're seeing a lot of what everybody else is saying on the internet, and that is the groundswell and grassroots support behind President Trump, especially on social media. And hey, memes are a love language. Memes get us up in the morning and help us go to bed in the evening, and they are incredibly powerful and persuasive. The cool thing about it, though, as funny as they can be sometimes, they often hold truths that really pierce through narratives and many other circumstances. And when it comes from that authentic grassroots level, I think you see them hit even just a little bit more. There's a famous saying going around the internet that the left cannot meme. And unfortunately, that seems to be the case for them. Every time they try, it's like they can't handle the humor or the jokes surrounding themselves sometimes. But ultimately, what you're saying is exactly right. And a lot of other people are saying the same thing, that these memes are powerful. And if citizens are watching this saying, how can I participate in the public policy process, sharing a meme is not crazy advice. It can be quite helpful, especially if you have that aha moment, that humorous take on something that's happening. And I think that there should be more grassroots people sharing political content on the internet, and memes and short form video are the best way to go by far. We all need a bigger laugh in the world. Memes are fantastic.
No, I agree. I mean, there's a certain level of brilliance that is required to be able to condense a complicated idea into a single graphic. I'm a huge fan of this myself, but I've seen people misuse that. They use that towards their own ends. They lie, and they have guided people down the wrong path. So it's both, in my opinion, both a powerful tool and a dangerous one. It just seems to be utilized by both sides in different ways. It behooves me, it would be irresponsible of me not to ask about AI now that I'm with you.
That's a great question.
I know that you're keeping track of AI stuff that's going on, how that's impacting culture, society, and campaigns, most importantly. AI is a hot topic for both sides, especially generative AI. How can it be harnessed? And what dangers have you noticed about generative AI impacting this election?
Yeah, that's a great question. And we live in a whole new world of artificial intelligence where, I mean, earlier this campaign cycle, when President Biden was the nominee, you saw him making fake political robocalls to voters. Thankfully, that's been stopped and the FEC has stepped in on that level. But AI is increasingly becoming more and more difficult. We call it the Turing test, being able to discern whether this is human or whether this is AI. And these days, and it's only going to continue to do this, it's becoming increasingly difficult to discern what's real and what's not. And so what political people can do especially is make sure that you are communicating from an authenticated platform. Having that blue check mark on X is a good thing. Having a blue check mark on Instagram, so voters and other individuals can know that it's actually you, and you can easily refute things if they do pop up. But we have seen these things blow up in people's faces, too. In Louisiana, we saw a candidate, his name was Adrian Perkins, where an organization, a leftist progressive organization called People Over Politics, basically deepfaked his face and put it on an actor, and really it was not a good situation. And if people see through the AI and learn that something is fake, it has a huge blowback on the person who was creating that user-generated content. But the last thing I'll say, it can be used for good. And we talked about memes a second ago. AI is one of the best places to use it, is actually to create some pretty funny memes. We've probably seen, whether it's President Biden or Trump, dancing or saying things into a microphone that they didn't say before in a comedic and hilarious way. But AI is here to stay. And the last thing I'll say here that's so important to realize for people at home is this is the worst the technology is ever going to be. And so we need to start really thinking about and having these conversations around artificial intelligence in the public policy process, because we're going to see more and more of it as this campaign goes on, but in the coming years as well. So this is something that we have to stay on top of.
Couldn't agree more. I've long said it's kind of like the atomic bomb of our age. It's a weapon for those who have evil designs, but it's also just it's a deterrence tool, and it's a tool. And it's something that conservatives are making a huge mistake simply ignoring or fearing. And I think that's going to be something that strategically is a deadly ignorance to have, especially in this day and age.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't want to fall into the same traps as last time. We need to take and embrace this technology for good.
Yep. Stephen Rowe at Leadership Institute, a pleasure to visit with you. Thank you.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
For all our viewers asking where One America News is heading in the future, we would like to introduce you to OAN Live. OAN Live is the best way to stay up to date on all of the hard-hitting, straight-shooting, national and international headlines. And the best part is, OAN Live is only $4.99 per month. All the credible, honest, unbiased reporting One America News offers at a fraction of the cost of cable. Just go to OANN.com to easily sign up for OAN Live and stay informed.